So in this lesson, we're going to get into the political economy of trade. Now, so once again, we're going to continue talking about trade policy. And what we're going to do or what I want to stress rather, is that we're not going to be talking about politics here in the sense of what policies should you support or not. Okay, that's a normative question. Economics is not equipped to answer those types of questions at all. It's equipped to answer positive questions and positive questions only. Instead, what the political in this title here is referring to is is that we'll be talking about how policy is actually conducted in the real world. Okay, and we're going to talk about the effects of those policies. But again, this is not a lesson on why free trade is good or why free trade is bad or why government regulation is good or why government regulation is bad. This is just presenting a scientific way of thinking about that question. Okay, so I leave it to you guys to figure out the answer in different contexts on your own about what policies you should or should not support. But my hope is that by conveying to you the political economy of trade, you can think about them sort of at a deeper and higher quality, I suppose would be a way to phrase it, higher or deeper way than you could before. So in this lesson, we're going to present 3 arguments for free trade. Okay, so today, or this lesson, is going to be 3 arguments for free trade. And the next lesson will be a critique of the underlying assumptions in these models for free trade. Okay, so we're going to start off by making the case for free trade, and then I'll present the case against free trade as well. Okay, now just as a practical matter, just to acknowledge this fact, there is no country. Whoops, I should spell country right. No country on earth has completely free trade. Okay. Now, since the time of Adam Smith, economists have sort of held up free trade as sort of an ideal, right? So most economists would say that free trade is the ideal and that we should move our policy towards that. Okay, so many economists will say that free trade avoids efficiency losses. Others say that the benefits of free trade go beyond even this, and still others contend that free trade is the second best we can do. Okay, so to give you a brief overview or a direction that we're going to head in, the 3 arguments for free trade. So the first one is an efficiency argument. Okay, the second one is sort of a extra benefits argument, and then the third is a free trade as the second best type of argument. Okay, so those are the 3 what the 3 arguments are, and we're going to go through each one of these in turn. So we're going to start with the efficiency argument. Okay, so let's do this. The efficiency argument. Okay, so now, if you recall from the last lecture that we said, or we showed out, or pointed out rather, that in a world of free trade, where the world price is set by the import demand and the export supply curves, and there is no tariff, right? Total surplus was maximized. Okay, so in that world, we have a situation where by introducing a tariff or by restricting free trade, we lose these two triangles here, okay, so this one and this one, as deadweight losses to society. Okay, those are surpluses. That's value that is lost to either consumers or producers and is not captured by government in the form of taxation. Okay, so remember this box here was or is tax revenue from the tariff. Okay, and these black triangles here, those were deadweight losses. Okay, so the efficiency argument is very straightforward. It says that free trade, or even just moving closer to free trade, eliminates the deadweight loss triangles, which by definition increases total surplus. Okay, so if we're concerned with maximizing total surplus, then we want to have no tariff whatsoever, because doing so eliminates these deadweight loss triangles. Okay, now and so removing the tariff, so if we had a tariff and we got rid of it, that would just be adding back these deadweight loss triangles to society. Okay, and so it's true that we should point out that government would have less revenue, so the taxes collected from the tariff would go to zero, okay, because there would be no more tariff. Okay, so while it's true that government would lose revenue, that revenue right there would all go to consumers instead in the form of consumer surplus. These deadweight loss triangles would be transformed into consumer surplus, and this trapezoid, which with the tariff is producer surplus, would turn into consumer surplus instead. Okay, so basically all value, the value of products, or the total value from trade increases, making society as a whole richer. And it benefits the consumers explicitly. It would harm the producers, but the benefit to the consumers would be greater than the harm to the producers. And so from an economic efficiency standpoint, the argument is rather straightforward. The harm done to some is less than the benefit received by others. And so the argument goes that we should eliminate tariffs or reduce them as much as we can so that we can maximize total benefit. Now, some people will say, that, oh, this is harsh and unnecessarily fair, or I'm sorry, unnecessarily unfair to the producers because they're losing, this area right here. Producers lose this in the form of value to them, domestic producers, we should say. Okay, they lose all of this. Okay, government loses that. Okay, but what we can say is that if these triangles here represent some positive value, then what could happen is consumers would be able to compensate these people. They could take some of the value from here and give it to the producers. They could take some of the value from here and give it to tax revenue, or they could take from here and give there and here and give there. But the consumers could compensate the producers and government in exchange for removing the tariff. Okay? There are ways to do that. Okay, but that's the basic argument, right? Is that by eliminating the tariff, these deadweight loss triangles go away, and society is left better off.